Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel Your IT Learning. Today we're going to talk about Agile. So let's start up without wasting any time. Let me share my screen and we can go. So as I said, today we're going to talk about Agile. So today we are here to talk about Introduction to Agile Methodology, presented by Your IT Learning. Do remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook. Thank you so much. So if I start about talking about Agile, what is Agile? Okay, Agile is an interactive approach to the software development that focuses on collaboration, customer feedback, and small and rapid release. Agile is actually very popular because it keeps on it keeps on making the product, it keeps on talking to the customer. So if we are going in a wrong direction, then we can fix it quickly. And in the scenario, in the world where the money is very important and we have to spend money very wisely, so the agile is very popular because we can get the customer feedback, we can change the product if a customer is not happy, and if they're happy, we can keep on making small incremental product. So what is the core idea over here? So the core idea is build software in small, functional part with continuous evaluation and adaptation. So why we say that one is, so in Agile, we have a sprint of 2 weeks to 4 weeks, normally 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, we are working on a product, an incremental product, and we can give a demo to the stakeholder or subject matter expert, and we can take their feedback. If they are happy, then we are producing an incremental product. At any stage, if they are not happy, we can take their feedback, and in the next sprint, we can do the improvements. Unlike traditional methods, so waterfall is an old method which was used couple of years back. Still, couple of companies use it, but it's not that much use these days because waterfall is rigid. It's hard to do any changes, and you actually knows the product at the end of the sprint. And keeping in mind, the sprint in waterfall is not 2 to 4 weeks. It can be month, 2 months, like that. So unlike traditional methods, Agile allows teams to adjust plans quickly based on the feedback. Feedback from the customer, feedback from the subject matter expert, feedback from your stakeholders. So that's why Agile is more popular. So why Agile? Is it like traditional method like waterfall are rigid, okay, and long, and takes long time to make any product. So that's why Agile is popular. We can fix something. Think about it. You're working in a company, okay? You're working with your IT team. You get, if you're working in a waterfall, you take the requirement, you get the requirement done in, I said, a month or 2 months. In that time period, you work, your developers work, your QA works. So think about, if I even take a month, how long you have worked before you can even find out what is the product, and you can take a feedback from your customer. And if the customer or subject matter expert says, no, I'm not happy, so the month of work is gone. Or maybe they're happy half product, even half of the time you spent is gone, like there was no point of doing that one. So that's why Agile is more popular. So what Agile offers? Flexibility. You can change within 2 weeks. You know the product, and if something is not working, you can change. Faster delivery. It delivers within 2 weeks. Better risk management and improved team collaboration. So if you get a feedback, you bring it to the team in the sprint and you talk about it and you get the things changed. So what are the agile values? Okay, individual and interaction over processes and tools. So it's more about, interacting with your stakeholders, interacting with your team, getting their inputs, getting their thoughts, so you can discuss. So most of the time you will be doing interaction with the individuals instead of, following the process and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. So every 2 weeks you have a working software, working product, which you can provide a demo to the stakeholder, get their thoughts, and see if you are working in the right direction or not. Normally in Agile, it's very rare that the product you are creating will not be the right product which the stakeholder wants, because whenever you bring anything to the sprint, you have talked to your stakeholders, you have get the approvals from them. So there is a very less chances, but still, if ever something happens, you can change within 2 weeks, because every 2 weeks you have a final product or incremental product which you can discuss with the stakeholders. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So subject matter expert, you will keep on collaborating with them, you will keep talking with them, and you can provide them inputs, you can provide them the product, they can provide you feedback or comments. Responding to change over flow of plan. So again, in 2 weeks, you have something incremental product, you talk to your stakeholders, and if they're not happy, you can change it. For any change they want, you have to again create a user story, bring it to the Scrum ceremonies, which I'm going to discuss in next few slides, and then come to the planning, grooming, refinement, and once the sprint starts, the user story is being worked by the developer, then tested by the QA, and that's how the final product is made. So I will repeat again how the final product is made or the incremental product is made. You gather the requirement from the stakeholders, you put in the user story, you get a formal approval of the user story from the stakeholders to make sure that you have captured everything correctly. When you get a formal approval over the email, that's like, yes, I got the approval. Whatever I have noted down in my user story, that's what the subject matter expert wants. Once that is done, you bring your user story in the Scrum ceremonies, like Scrum refinement for the first time, where you will discuss about what exactly needs to be done. Once it gets through this refinement session, where people will going to talk about any questions, because this is the first time they are seeing a user story. Okay, anything you want, anything the subject matter expert want to do. So take an example, on your website you have English language, now the subject matter wants to add Spanish. So that's a requirement, but you knew about this, the team doesn't knew. So you will bring that user story that, hey, the customer or the subject matter expert is looking to add Spanish because in our country there's a lot of Spanish speaking people and they want to convert all of our website page to Spanish. So you will show this user story to the your team in the sprint refinement. They will going to ask a couple of questions. You might have the answer. If you don't have the answer, go back to your stakeholder and ask them. Once it gets through to the sprint refinement, it goes to the sprint grooming, where we story point the user story. The story point basically means how much time will it take for this user story to be complete. Once that is done, then the user story comes to the sprint planning. Once the sprint planning and the user story which comes to sprint planning are the ones which are prioritized, like the ones which needs to be done. Once there comes to the sprint planning, then it goes to the sprint. Once the sprint starts, it is being developed by the developer, tested by the QA, tested by you as a BA on a high level, because you have to provide the demo to the stakeholder. And once it is being reviewed by the stakeholder, we call it a demo session. They say, yeah, thumbs up, it's all good, then that's being user stories marked as done. And don't worry, I will going to talk about Scrum ceremonies in the next few slides as well. So what is the key agile principles? Deliver working software or product frequently. Welcome changing requirements, because it's only 2 weeks of sprint, so you can easily take requirements. As I said, first of all, once you get a formal approval from the stakeholder, there's very less chances that you are not making the right product. But if it happens, you are still in the agile, which can take requirements quickly. Maintain is a sustainable pace. So every 2 weeks, you are creating some valuable product for your stakeholders. Encourage face-to-face communication. These days, we are on Teams, we are in offices, Zoom, so you can talk to your stakeholders whenever you want. Encourage face-to-face communication, which is the key agile principle. Reflect regular for improvements. Reflect regularly for improvements. So every time you can get thoughts from a subject matter expert and you can change. So agile framework, there's many agile frameworks, but I took top three, and even in these top three, the top two are widely used. I'm working for last a decade or more than that. I have never used an XP, extreme programming, which is the third point. So first one is Scrum. So the structure is time box iteration called sprints, usually 2 to 4 weeks. As I said, I'm working for mostly a decade now. I have never worked in a company where the sprint was more than 2 weeks. So the 2 weeks is 14 days, and if you take out the weekends, 4 days of 2 weeks. So basically, it's 10 days, 10 working days, I will say. Ceremonies, daily stand up, sprint planning, sprint review, retrospective, sprint refinement, sprint grooming, and best for team building complex product that benefits from frequent feedback from the stakeholders. The next one comes is Kanban, structure, continuous flow rather than sprints, focus, visualizing work using Kanban board, limited work in progress. Best for teams needing flexibility, visibility, like support or operations. So basically, Scrum and Agile is very kind of similar, but still different. And the last one is XP, Extreme Programming. As I said, I've never used it before. This basically focuses on engineering excellence, test driven development, pair programming, continuous integration. So seems like more towards the development side, or I will say the engineering side. So best for software teams. So as it is engineering software teams, prioritizing code quality and fast feedback. So now we're going to talk about Scrum framework. So who are the part of Scrum framework? Roles are product owner, Scrum master, and development team. Development team basically is developers, QAs, architecture, or we can say architect. Artifacts are product backlog, sprint backlog, and increment. So if I talk about product backlog, so whenever you write a user story, or whenever you gather the requirement, okay, think about it. The subject matter expert or the stakeholder came to you and I want to add Spanish language onto the portal, and I want then to add Arabic or Russian language onto my portal in next year. You said great. So if you want something in next 1 year, let me just create a user stories and put in the product backlog. So it will not going to come into the sprint planning because it is not important right now. But still, as the stakeholder wants, you will still just create a user story as a shell user stories and put little bit of details in that one. So that's why everything you create as a user story, which doesn't need to be done right now, goes everything in the product backlog. Okay, your product backlog can be 10 user stories, 15, 20, but I really encourage you should have a good product backlog, because out of this product backlogs, the sprint backlog comes, which is basically the sprint planning, and this sprint backlog goes to the sprint when it starts. If you will not going to have a product backlog, then how you will have a sprint backlog? What your developer will go to work on? Your manager will talk about, hey, what are you being work on? So keep on building your product backlog. Anything stakeholder wants, just create a shell user story and just put in there. And if you want to know more about user story, you can definitely check my YouTube channel. I have a couple of reels on that one about Jira, and you can definitely find out how you can create user stories as well. So sprint backlog I talk about, then incremental product ceremonies. So daily scrum again, anything I'm talking about is on my YouTube channel as reels. You can definitely check it out. Daily scrum is basically 15 minutes of session every morning when you go to the office. It's normally around 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. because we try to do it early in the morning. At the time we bring everyone, all your team members into the meeting, and these team members consist of scrum master, BAs, product owner, developers, QA, architect, and sometimes it can be more people as well. Okay, basically these are the ones which comes to, and everyone talk about, okay, what they have done yesterday, what they will going to do today, and is there any bottleneck, is there anything which is holding them to do their work. Sprint refinement, as I said, whenever you have a user story, you bring it to the sprint refinement. Once it goes to the sprint refinement, where you discuss about it and everyone is happy with the user story and user story is complete, then you bring it to the grooming, where you story point, which story point basically means how much time will it take for your user story to be done. Then it comes to the sprint planning, if it's priority. If it's not priority, then it goes to the product backlog. If it's priority, it comes to the sprint planning. You discuss it again with your team, because it can be an instance that this user story was groomed and was in the product backlog for more than a month, 2 months, 3 months. So now the team needs again a brush up. Okay, we want to add Spanish, or we want to add Russian, or we want to add Arabic language onto the portal so the page can translate. Then after the sprint is done, you do the sprint demo, or we call sprint review, where you show what the product has been done. So take an example, you were adding Spanish language. So now you will go on to your lower environment for testing, which every company has, and you will sit with the stakeholder and you will show that, hey, this, see, we went to the website. When I click on Spanish, the whole page translate. You go on couple of more pages onto your portal, every page is translating. So that means you're all good. What you created is good. Take an example, if you go on to one of the pages and it's not translating to the Spanish, then it's a bug. We call it bug, B-U-G, or we call it defect. So then you have to create a defect, and whoever developer worked on this user story, you will assign this bug or defect to the same person, because he has worked on this one, he knows about this one. And then once he fix it, again it goes to the QA, he tests it, and then again you have to provide the demo to the stakeholder, and this time it will be all good. Sprint retrospective. So normally sprint retrospective is basically in the last sprint, anything which we basically talk about three things: what went well, what didn't went well, and what are the things we should improve or change. So take an example. What didn't went well was we were adding the Spanish language, but on one of the page it didn't work. So then you'll talk to the developer. Hey developer, why this happened? He might have some thoughts, and he'll say. So these are the things you will say. Let's improve on those one. Yeah, there will be a couple of good things in the sprint which happened last week in the last sprint. So you will say keep doing those. If there was anything which didn't work, then you will say let's work on this one so it doesn't happen again. And so these are the things which you have to talk in the sprint retro. Agile in action. Work is divided in small tasks, user stories, as I said, and try to keep your user story as small as possible. The smaller the user story, easy to do by you, even with the developer, and easily. I will say the larger chunk, it's hard to do it, hard to find out where the problem persists if it happens. The smaller task is easy to done. So take an example, if you do cooking your food, you divide it. I will make pasta one time, I will make another thing one time, I will make another thing on time. So then everything, if you're having a dinner with your family or friends, then you divide the work of creating or making the food as well, and that's easy. Tasks are estimated and prioritized. So the smaller user story are easily to estimate as well. And if it's a smaller user story, and take an example, your developer is working in your sprint and he said, hey Jay, I'm done. So this smaller user story, you can say, hey, there's one user story which will take only 2 hours for your work time, let's get it done. Daily stand-up keeps the team aligned. So in daily stand-up, all developers, product owner, business analyst talks about what are the things they did yesterday, what are they going to do today, and if there's anything which is holding them off. So they can discuss it, and at the same time, this daily stand-ups make sure that everyone is aligned as well, what exactly you are doing. So as a BA of the team, as a product owner of the team, I know, hey, my product is being worked on, I will get an update every day. So it's very less chance of making a mistake in the sprint. Feedback is used to adjust and improve. So take an example, if I'm talking about what are the things I'm doing, and if anyone has inputs or thoughts, they can tell, hey Jay, oh, you are working on this user story, okay? Hey, we worked on a similar we added English language 2 years back. Look at that user story and look at the code of that one. It will be easy for you to achieve your goal or get this user story done. And what is the difference between agile and waterfall? Waterfall is a traditional, old methodology. So agile is interactive and incremental. high flexibility that you can change within 2 weeks, continuous feedback from your stakeholders, and low risk to adapt. So even if you make a mistake, it will not going to cost you more financially or time wise. Waterfall, sequential. First, this phases, and one phase has to finish before the another phase starts. So the first will be you are gathering the requirements, and then you can't start the development till the requirements are done. But in agile, take an example, after 2 weeks, if you create a product, you show to the product to the stakeholder. If he says he's not happy, you can again gather the requirement, but that doesn't happen in waterfall. So that's why it's sequential. Low flexibility, that you can't change. Feedback after development ends, and the development can be longer, a month or 2 months. And as I said, after that one, if the stakeholder find out the product is not the one they were looking for, they will be not happy. High risk, late discovery. So if there's anything which is not working, you will only be able to find at the end, which that's why we call it late discovery. Benefits of agile: faster time to the market. You can create a product very fast. Higher product quality, because it you are creating in incremental products, so the quality of the product will be good. All Take an example, all the pages are being converted to the Spanish or not. So the chances of not happening that one is very less, so that's why the product quality is higher. Better customer satisfaction: if you create a good product, customer is happy, or the stakeholder is happy, or subject matter expert is happy. Enhanced team morale and collaboration. If you go to play cricket, if you go to play soccer, every time you make a goal or every time you hit a six, it's morale boost. The collaboration goes great within the team. With anything, agile also have challenges. So it's required a culture shift. So if you join a team or a company where there are some old people who have worked on waterfall, so it might be a little hard for them to adjust to the agile. Need skilled team members. So again, if you have an old team who was working on the waterfall, now you will need your team to learn about agile. That's why in a lot of companies, we have scrum master, and even not the scrum master, we have agile coaches. They focus, they keeps on pushing you to follow the agile principles. The more you follow the agile principle, there's very less chances that you will create any mistake. Can be hard to scale without proper tools. So for agile you need Jira tool and all other things. You can't be using the waterfall methodology for doing agile. Misunderstanding of agile can lead to poor implementation. I have seen, when I started my career, a lot of companies used to say we are agile, but they were kind of half agile, because most of the companies, you will find out, they're still moving from waterfall towards agile. Agile doesn't mean just if you're 2 week sprint that you are agile. No, you have to follow the agile principles. What are the agile tools you can use? Jira is very popular. I have used Jira a lot. It's a great product. Then is Trello, Azure DevOps, Monday.com, Asana, and these other products as well. These are highly used. Jira is the mostly used tool, I will say. Okay. So conclusion: Agile is a mindset as much as it's a methodology. It values adaptability, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Best suited for dynamic environments where requirements evolve over time. So, as I said, Agile is awesome over waterfall. It creates an incremental product. It gets the feedback from your stakeholders. You are happy, your stakeholder is happy, and you're creating a incremental product every 2 weeks. Your company morale is great. Your team morale is great. Everyone is happy. So thank you so much for watching my video. I highly recommend subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the bell icon so you get all the notifications whenever I post on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much once again, guys. Have a nice day. Bye.